YouTube. It is Jose Loves MMA. I'm coming back at you guys with another breakdown and analysis video. Full breakdown on the fight happening between Magomed, Gadzhiyasulov, and Bruno Lopez. Magomed is fighting out of Dagestan, Russia. He fights with the team KHK, and Bruno Lopez fights out of Brazil. I can tell you, let's go ahead and talk about Bruno Lopez first. As you could see, Bruno Lopez has a record of 13-1 currently. I can say this about Bruno Lopez. He seems like he's a brawler or like a knockout, just run through you kind of guy, but he's definitely more technical than meets the eye. He's more technical than what it seems. Also, if you look on his Tapology, it shows that he doesn't have any amateur fights. This guy, I actually was looking at one of his fights on his younger days before the UFC, and the announcer says that this guy has more than 20 amateur fights. So they might not be in Tapology, they might not be on SureDog, but the guy has more than 20 amateur fights. He's 13-1 currently as a professional. So I can say that he is definitely more technical and has been fighting for a long time. He does have some good wins. He has a win against Gregory Rodriguez that was about 11 years ago. Gregory Rodriguez is currently fighting in the UFC, and in that fight, he knocked Gregory Rodriguez out early in the fight. I can say this about Bruno Lopez. His only loss ever has been by KO, which I will get into how he got finished. But I will say about Bruno Lopez, it seems like he might have a chin issue. It seems like he might be a little bit of a chinny fighter because I've seen him dropped in multiple of his fights. He's only gotten KO'd once, but I've seen him dropped against Gregory Rodriguez, which was his third fight ever as a professional. It was Gregory Rodriguez's first fight ever. Gregory Rodriguez dropped him early in that fight, and then he recovered quick, got up, clinched Gregory Rodriguez, and then he knocked out Gregory Rodriguez cold. He fought against a few other guys that rocked him. You do see whenever he fought Mikael in the Contender Series, which is some dude out of Georgia. The guy Mikael that he fought in the Contender Series came out just swinging overhands, being crazy, had no technique at all, and he did catch Bruno Lopez. He set Bruno Lopez down. Once again, Bruno Lopez recovered pretty quick, got back up, and kept going with the fight. Bruno Lopez ended up finishing that guy in the second round by punching him and getting him weak to the body. So I can say I think Bruno Lopez might have a little bit of a chin issue. He did get knocked out pretty badly against Brenson Ribeiro. So I've seen him dropped multiple times throughout his career. He's only lost by KO one time, but I do think there might be a little something there about a chin issue. Another thing I will say about Bruno Lopez is I think he's a well-rounded fighter. He has decent striking, as you can see. He has 6 knockouts. He has decent submissions, good submissions. He has 5 professional wins by submissions, and he's won 2 wins by decision. So like I said, he is definitely more technical than meets the eye. He's a good fighter. I think he's a pretty good fighter. Not someone to be underestimated. I know he's coming in as the underdog in this fight, but he is a good fighter. Another thing to point out with Bruno Lopez is that I will say with Bruno Lopez, I don't know how I feel about his cardio going into the later rounds, but I have seen him finish a few matches and be okay. But I think he will be okay. At the end of the day, with him, I think he has a chance at beating Magomed by just crowding him and overwhelming him, as he's always usually the one going forward when he's fighting. And I've seen Magomed not like to be pushed and pressured. So he might have a chance and a path to victory there. But all in all, I don't think he wins this fight. And let's go ahead and start talking about Magomed. The reason why I don't think he wins this fight against Magomed is 9-0 currently, is because Magomed is very, very light on his feet. He is very technical. I said that Bruno Lopez is more technical than meets the eye, but I'll show you guys some clips of this dude, Magomed. He's a light heavyweight, 6'2", but this dude could throw spinning kicks. He can throw Showtime kicks. Um, he's very skilled, man. He has a little bit of everything. The times I've seen him in trouble on the feet, um, or just kind of seen him in trouble, he can always wrestle, and he can always control his fighter that he's fighting. He can always control his opponent on the ground. So I think Magomed there has multiple ways to fight. He does prefer to stand up, as this guy is a great kickboxer, very well rounded while fighting on the feet. But I will say in this fight, Bruno Lopez is going to be pressuring him a lot. It'll be up to Magomed if he decides to go for takedowns and try and wrestle. But I really think Magomed is just really going to try to keep his distance, use his range, his jab, and his footwork to just keep a heavier, aggressive guy like Bruno Lopez off of him. I'll also say this about Magomed. I don't think Magomed has the most power in his hands. I do see that he has four finishes by TKO, but I don't think he has the most power in his hands. I'll show you guys a clip of him actually doing some ground and pound, and I think that his ground and pound is kind of weak. It was about 2, 3 years ago when this fight happened that I'm gonna be showing that clip on, but I don't know, man. He doesn't show to have a lot of power and doesn't show to have the best ground and pound. So I honestly think that since Magomed is very technical, is more technical than Bruno Lopez, since Magomed trains at a gym like KHK, that is full of high level guys like Islam Makachev and all of those guys. I think that this guy is constantly getting better, but I think that this guy isn't going to go crazy in this fight. His last 3 matches, as you can see with Magomed, as he's fighting better competition, he has been finishing the fights by decision. He has been going the full 15 minutes, which is a good positive sign. The fact that he can go fight the full 15 minutes and get his hand raised. But those early finishes that he was getting in his career in round one, he is not getting those anymore at this higher level because he's fighting tougher opponents. His first 4 opponents were very, very bad record opponents or just inexperienced people. One guy was 0-0, one guy was 0-2, one guy was 1-2, another guy was 0-3, another guy was 0-0, another one was 0-0, and the guy that he got the weak ground and pound finish was 2-1, and it's now 2-2 and hasn't fought again since. So I don't think that Magomed is just going to just go crazy on him. I don't think that he's going to impose himself on him crazy and is going to knock out Bruno Lopez. Even though Bruno Lopez, I feel like, might have a chin issue, I don't think Magomed is going to knock him out. I don't think so. One positive thing that Magomed definitely has going in this fight is that he beat Brenson Ribeiro by majority decision in his last UFC fight, which is the only loss that Bruno Lopez has in his career. And in that fight, Bruno Lopez got knocked out cold. Magomed was able to withstand Brenson Ribeiro's power attack. Brenson Ribeiro also had him deep in a guillotine and deep in a submission, but wasn't able to finish Magomed. And Magomed actually said that he would have rather died or would have rather went to sleep than tapped. So you can tell with this guy, he's not tapping. I don't think he is going to give up any submission. I think he has great submission defense, as I'll show in a clip in this fight. He has very good submission defense, and I don't think the submission win is a path to victory for Bruno Lopez. A knockout win might be a little bit more of a path to victory, but I don't think so either because Magomed is just so good at keeping his distance. I personally think that the only way Bruno Lopez wins this fight is just by making it ugly and closing that distance, grappling him, clinching him, just making it an ugly fight, which he has the ability to do so. And something to look out for the, Magomed is I've seen him grab the fence about 3 times in his MMA career. He did get submitted one time as an amateur, but that was way back as an amateur. And I will say, the guy grabs the fence a lot. So look, just in case, Bruno might get a point advantage, and Magomed might just get a point deduction for grabbing the fence a lot when Bruno is shooting for takedowns or trying to wrestle and make the fight ugly. So there's a chance that Magomed could get a point taken off in this fight. So I personally think if you are going to bet this fight and choose Magomed because he does look like the better fighter, you at least want to do a double-sided bet and not leave Bruno Lopez out by decision. I'll at least sprinkle something on the decision line because I think right now Bruno Lopez is like plus 600, and I think the guy still has a chance to win the fight. Do I think he's going to win the fight? No. But does he have a chance? I do think he has a chance, especially with that fence grabbing problem that Magomed has. You know, it's only a matter of time before a judge takes a point off of you, so you just never know. But I personally think that Magomed is going to win this fight by decision. So you might want to bet that Magomed wins the fight by decision or TKO. I say the double-sided bet is the best way to go, double chance, because the only time Bruno Lopez has lost in his career has been by TKO, and I do think he might have a chin problem. So Magomed could catch him with one of those kicks. He could catch him with one of these strikes. You know, you never know. He could catch him, but I really think that he wins the fight by decision, and those are his 2 paths to victory. I don't think Magomed will choke out or submit Bruno Lopez. So if you are going to bet this fight, do a double bet that Magomed either wins by decision or TKO, and just in case, play it safe and bet that Bruno Lopez will win the fight by decision, because I do think plus 600 is juicy and is worth making a sprinkle on just in case you lose your bet to make your money back and then some. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next video.